welcome back to the Barbados Travel Guide Podcast, the Welcome Stamp edition. My name is Joel Manning and it's my distinct pleasure to be your host. And today we're going to be talking to the very first Welcome Stamper to the island of Barbados. All the way from Barcelona. Now, I've been attempting to say your name, but I do not want to butcher it, so go ahead and say it for everybody.
Well, hi everybody, my name is Cris Torres, and as Joe was saying, I come from Barcelona, Spain.
So how does it feel, first of all, knowing that you're the very first Welcome Stamper?
Well, it was actually a surprise. I didn't know I was the first, but I guess I'm honored and I'm happy. I've been enjoying the island more than anyone else.
This is a gift for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. All right, but what really initiated that decision to come to Barbados on the Welcome Stamp?
It actually was a surprise, a very happy surprise for me, because I had thought about coming to Barbados even before the Welcome Stamp. So a bit of background about me, I've been a digital nomad, so I've been traveling and working remotely around the world for the last 4 years. So when COVID started, so went back to beginning of 2020, I was like, I want to find somewhere long-term where I can actually stay the whole COVID and maybe find a new forever home.
Oh,
so I was looking in places in the Caribbean because I knew I wanted to be the Caribbean and I was not really sure where. So I started to look into Barbados, but unfortunately, as I'm Spanish, before the Welcome Stamp visa, I could only be here for 3 months. So I was like, that's a bummer. So I went to Martinique and I was like, I just don't know if I'm feeling it or not. And then the news of the Welcome Stamp came up and I was like, oh my God, this is so great, because I really wanted to go to Barbados. I could not go to Barbados, or like not as long term as I wanted. And when the Welcome Stamp news came out, I was like, well, this is such great news, but it's gonna take forever to implement, you know, because in other nomad destinations like Bali, Thailand, they've been talking about a remote visa forever, but it never materialized. So when the Welcome Stamp news came out and then I saw it opening, like where I could actually apply so soon, it was such great news. So I applied, I think 1 week after the applications opened, and I was approved 5 days later, and I think 1 week later I was flying to Barbados from Martinique.
Oh, wow. Honestly, I wish that could have been my story. Like, it honestly sounds so perfectly put together, because it's a case of, we all thought that COVID or Corona would have really spoiled life as we knew it, but hey, you found yourself in a tropical paradise. So now that you're here, how have you really been enjoying the island of Barbados?
Well, it's been absolutely great to. I think what is really great about Barbados, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been in other places with amazing beaches and amazing weather, but I think what is great about Barbados is that everything is coming together. You have amazing weather, you have an amazing landscape, you have also amazing people, but also you have a government that has been doing a great job at containing COVID, so you feel absolutely safe to be here. I think that the rest of the world, the rest of the world is going through a rough time with the whole second wave and the lockdowns, and I feel we're so blessed to be here, like being able to live a normal life. So that, on top of that, you have this new nomad community, these remote workers that are coming from everywhere in the world, and I just feel it just creating such an amazing community, and mixing with locals, being with locals, mainstreaming. So it's amazing.
So now, in terms of the transition into Barbados, how easy have you found it to integrate yourself into Barbadian society?
I think it's actually been super easy. I was, as you said, I think one of the first ones, if not the first one, to get here. So I didn't have many expats or digital nomads to hang out with at the beginning, and I was pleasantly surprised to find such a open community and such an open society. So now most of my friends, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are expats, but a lot of friends are Bajans, and I've been blessed enough to enjoy, conversations with them about the current situation, to enjoy, nights out, to, meals and stuff. So I think that that's something actually that I think a lot of us need to remember. Like a lot of us, I mean travelers and nomads and people who've been traveling and working remotely, is that the main attraction when we travel somewhere else, apart from the weather, from the landscape, is actually the people, and that actually getting to know the people is one of the best things about traveling and moving around.
I mean, you talked about people, and I'm a person in Barbados, so I definitely appreciate that. But I heard you mention growing out, but before we get there, you've come here to work. And that's an interesting one, because it's a case of the ability to still be able to do your job in another country. So how has that been for you to still be able to do your job and connect with the world?
Well, I've been doing this for 4 years, so for me, COVID has not really been a change or moving here, because I'm used to it, So it's not changed in any capacity. But I can tell you how it was at the beginning, So when I decided to first go remote, like 4 years ago, I realized I just didn't want to spend the rest of my life in an office. I wanted to have control over my time, which doesn't mean, I think a lot of people think that when you work remotely, you're just not working. I think that one of the good things, if any, that COVID has is to show people that people can still work from home and be productive. And I think that is a huge step to gain freedom and to gain more ownership of our free time. Whether you decide to stay at home or whether you decide to travel to Barbados, I think employers are realizing that people can be as productive, and also work remotely from home. And that definitely improves the quality of life and improves your personal relations. So, sorry, going back to your question.
There's no problem. I'm enjoying this story. I'm loving it.
Going back to your question, I didn't really have to adapt into working remotely. What I've done since I've moved to Barbados is kind of adapt my schedule. So I work mainly with London. So what I do is I've divided my day in 2 models. So really early in the morning, I have all my meetings with London. I have everything that needs to be dealt person like one-to-ones. And then after that, after 4 hours or 5 hours, I cut. I have like 8 hours to enjoy the island, and then I go back home in the evening and I finish my hours, whatever it's 3, 4, 5 hours. But I make sure I have enough time during the day to enjoy the island.
All right, so now we're going to head to that, enjoying the island. So it's roughly about, let's say, 4 months now that you've been here?
Yeah.
All right, good. So what has been your most amazing experience on island so far?
I mean, I'm sorry because I'm going to repeat myself, but
there's so many.
But the most amazing experience is people. Is getting to know people here and hanging out and being taken to local places and just like, hanging out. I think that in my experience as a digital nomad, sometimes we tend to, when we travel, we tend to stick together too much, like with travelers and other expats. And I think that the fact that I was one of the first ones to get here, it forced me to get out of my comfort zone and actually, explore and get to meet more people. And I think that's definitely been like my highlight.
I mean, I love it, to be honest. So where have we taken you? I'm going to say we as radio. So where have we taken you on the island so far?
Oh my God. So, okay, so I'm a West girl. Mm-hmm. I know like one of the first things I learned about Barbados is you're either South or West. So very early on I made my choice and I think I'm a West girl. So I think that if I had to pick one place in the island, I think that my favorite place is definitely Spike Sound. Mm-hmm. I think it's a mixture of like, everything. It's very local. It has this very local vibe. You also find people from all nationalities just hanging out, being together, eating together, partying together. You have small rum shops. You have more cafes and co-working spaces. I really, really like the vibe of Spikestown. And I probably shouldn't be talking that much about Spikestown because I think it's kind of a secret. All the people south don't really go all the people south keep their cells to, the Gap and, oysters and stuff. And they don't know we have that jam up north. So I don't know if I should talk that much about spice. I know I'm joking, but I absolutely love that it's not that touristic, and it's just like you can get that, balance of, and obviously amazing beaches and, amazing weather, and yeah.
I mean, I love the way you're talking about it. It's almost like you've really integrated yourself into society. You're like up north. I'm like, oh, you know the directions now. But yeah.
I've been driving here for quite a while now.
By chance, have you taken the public transportation at first?
Yes, I did take the public transportation at first.
And for you, how was that experience?
I mean, it was good, but I mean, for full context, I lived in Colombia and I lived in Kenya, so like I think it was amazingly well compared to other countries, Like I mean, to be honest, it's so like you have a bus, whether regular bus or reggae bus, so often, like literally you cannot be left without transportation, which is something great, especially for people thinking about coming to the island. I feel like one of the things that I was most impressed about public transportation is that everybody wears a mask, people. And that is so impressive because you have all these people in countries that are ravaged by COVID that make such a fuss for wearing a mask in a supermarket or anywhere. Here, everyone wears a mask. I never seen not even one single person make a fuss for wearing a mask, whether in the public transportation or in the supermarket, and that is something that shows you how Bajan people are committed to not only their own safety, but also the safety of everyone who visits here.
No, it's honestly been interesting, even just dealing with it with the period of COVID, because it's like, you're changing what was the regular way of life, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's just something that we have to definitely get accustomed to. But I want to transition just a little bit now into lifestyle a bit, because I'm just gonna say, you're flicking the hair, you love, we're gonna go with that, making sure that you're well kept. How have you found maintaining your lifestyle on the island?
Oh, I find it like super easy. Like there's nothing that that I miss in terms of, if you mean like hair products and things like
everything, the full look to
oh no, you can find everything, and you have amazing spas also, ladies, if you want to do your manicure, pedicure. I love doing my manicure, so I don't mind talking about that. Like
have fun, go
yeah, exactly. You have amazing. Whether you're a guy or a girl who likes to do your manicure, you have places. When it comes to hair products, whether you have Caucasian hair or Afro hair, plenty of products, plenty of things. You don't need to, because one of the questions that some of my friends who are coming to the island ask me, do I need to stock on, like some people came with like half of their bag in hair products or Trader Joe's. You don't need that. Like you normally, find everything. I think the only thing, if I had to say a bad, because you always have to say one bad. It's like I obviously being Mediterranean, what I do like is tomatoes. I'm thinking about growing my own tomatoes. That's the only thing.
So basically, it's been just an overall wonderful experience for you being here on the Welcome Stamp. So as we wrap up, just one thing, because obviously there are going to be others who are going to be listening to this podcast and would like a couple tips maybe on how the process was for you, and any advice you might have for them. So for people who are listening to this, who are considering coming to Barbados on the Welcome Stamp, what kind of tips or advice would you have for them?
I mean, I think the process is pretty straightforward. Like I could give you tips, but maybe the process has changed a little bit, been improved a little bit since I applied, but it's pretty straightforward. You have all the documentation in the website, so you just need to follow the steps. Very easy, and one of the things that is actually super surprising in a good way about the whole process is that people are very responsive. So if you have any questions, any doubts, just email the email address that it's in the website. I think they also have now a phone where you can go, a support phone. Well, like they're impressively responsive. If they don't respond the same day, they do it like 24 hours later. So obviously, like that is super great for especially when you're considering coming to another country and you're applying. They're super responsive. So follow all the steps in the website. If you have any doubts, just email. But apart from that, I think about the process, I think is pretty straightforward. And any other advice I would give, I think that when it comes to people that are considering to come to Barbados, I think you have three groups. The people that have been working remotely for quite a while, like me, the people that have just now started working remotely, but their company have said, you know what, this is working, you're gonna keep on working remotely. And then you have this third group that is are gonna keep working remotely until their office goes back to normal. To any of the people in those three groups, I would just say, this is such an opportunity. This is such an opportunity we're giving. I know COVID is really, striking like everyone in the world, So if there's anything positive we can get outside of it, is actually like enjoying and making the most of an experience like the Welcome Stamp, Whatever questions, fears, there's such a huge community already in the island. Join one of the communities, whether it's in Slack or Facebook, and ask away, because there's a lot of people, both locals and expats, who are ready to help you. But my advice would be just just take your laptop, because it's everything you need, pack your bag, and take the next flight here, because it's not only about the possibility to work near the beach, which I know it's the posture that everybody has in mind, but it's also how safe you are, and I feel like we're so blessed to be here, because from anywhere else in the world, maybe New Zealand, I think it's one of the other exceptions, you are able to live a normal life here. And I think it cannot be paid. It's so unique, and so we're so blessed.
Honestly, it's absolutely heartwarming listening to you tell this story, but that brings us to the end of our podcast here today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Cris.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem at all.
Anytime.
Well, guys, that brings us to the end of another Barbados Travel Guide podcast. It's certainly been a pleasure chatting with Cris, and we do look forward to having you on the next podcast.